Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Metal Shop. I have a project that I think all Chinese mini skid steer owners are going to want to see. It is surprising to me how powerful these little cheap mini skid steers are. They have a lot of power to lift. They do better than you would ever expect. You could, I think, easily lift 1,000 pounds with these, or at least up close to 1,000 pounds. You know, I don't think they're rated that high, but I think you could lift that. The problem is they tip forward. They just literally, as soon as you pick up something fairly heavy, they'll just tip forward with you. Well, I've been experimenting. I took this tractor weight and laid it on here. I actually have two of them. I had two of them on here and I was standing on that. Just that alone changed everything on how powerful this thing is and how tippy it is. Yeah, I've seen other people put weights up here and all that, but my point is keep your weight very, very low. The lower your center of gravity, the better. So I have two of these. They're 20 kilograms each, which is about 44 US pounds. And that'll be a 88-pound increase. And I'll put it way down low right here. In fact, what I'm going to do is work out a plan to bolt them under this pad. Now, I realize that this pad is meant to fold up. I never fold it up. So to me, it's worth putting the weight under there. And that also, the further back you can get your weight, also gives you much more leverage. So having it down low and having it as far back as you can get it is the absolute ultimate in terms of weight and balance. I also have two more of these, and I think I'm going to just set them inside here and maybe just let them float there. I might fasten them down too. But the video today is focused on how I'm going to attach these where they won't be vibrating and they won't be falling off and giving me any trouble. Here's the one on the workbench. So what I'm going to do is find the center of this, and I'm going to put two bolts in it. One, like threaded holes here and here as an example. And the best way to find the balance point of this, because it's an odd shape, is to put it on a steel rod, something like this. And then you can roll it, and then you find where the actual balance point is. And real close to that is the balance point. So right about in there, it's tippy each way. You're not going to get it perfect, but that'll give you a very good guess as to where the balance is. And that's what I want, as I want to find the approximate balance point, so when I bolt it on, it won't be tending to pull one way or the other. So now that I got my both hands free here, and I'm just going to take my time and try to get it as balanced as I can, and that's about it right there. And I'm just going to, by line of sight, put a mark above here and a mark above here. And for our purposes, that's going to be close enough. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. Then I'm just going to extend that line all the way across so that I can see that over on the mini skid steer. What I'm planning to do is drill the holes in the plate over there first and put bolts down through and bolt into these threaded holes. But I'll drill those holes first, line this up on the holes, mark it and drill them and tap it. That's my plan. I think it'll work. Let's see how well it does. Okay, I'm going to put them in there about like this, in this configuration, as you can probably see right here. And I'm measuring from this edge, and it's a little less than 5 inches. So I don't want it to stick out past this, so I'm going to measure 5 inches. And that should put us about where we want to be. And there should be room to get them in there. I've already measured that, so we're going to go 5 inches from this edge. And of course, I can't see that. I'm colorblind, and that dark plate and this dark pin is not helping anything. This is about 7.5 inches wide. Let me first make sure I'm not gonna get in the way of something here. Hold this up here. Okay, there's no interference. I've got to figure out first where I want to drill the holes in this, and I'm just as a ballpark. I'm not going to figure exactly, but let's go 1.25 inches in. So we'll say about there. So I want to be more than 1.25 inches in here so that they go that way a little bit. So let's say 1.5 inches. So about there. I'm gonna have to get a scriber or something because this isn't gonna cut it. I'm so colorblind I can't see the marks. Okay, so I found this pencil for marking on metal, and it's kind of a silver color. So I'm just gonna draw a line there, like that. So this line that I have on here and this line on here should match up. I'm going to go in about 1.5 inches on this, and if this thing was legible, that would make that easy too, but it's not. So let's go in here and say about 1.5 inches, about right there. And then, so if I go in 1 inch on this, or 1.25 inches I said, didn't I? So let me remark these. And then approximately 1.25 inches in from this other fat side, so about here. From one hole to the other, it's approximately 5 inches. So I'm gonna mark it at 5 inches. There's a 2, and there's a 7. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna drill a hole here and a hole here. And then once we get those holes in there, then we'll line this up underneath there, and we'll mark these based on those holes, and then we'll drill and tap this. That's assuming that this is drillable and tappable. I assume it is, but sometimes assumptions get you in trouble, so we'll find out as we go. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is take this little punch and mark my hole there, and that did a pretty good job. All right, and just to play it safe, I'm going to mark it a little bigger with this heavy punch. Yep, that did it. Okay, now I'll take a drill. I'm going to drill a full 1/2 inch hole in this eventually, but I'll start out with something much smaller. I'm going to just drill a small hole, like a 7/32 or something first. Let's see here. Got that on the low speed. Let me speed it up a little. And I think I'll get some oil. Okay, and I clean up the chips. These magnets are really handy to clean up the chips. This is one of those pull-type magnets. It'll dump everything in the trash. Actually, I put it in a recycle pile. Believe it or not, even those little pieces, I recycle them. Okay, so let's go to a full 1/2 inch bit now and see if we can get a hole through this without breaking my arm. I say without breaking my arm because this drill is powerful, and these bigger bits like to catch. This bit has been broken off, and I've resharpened it. Hopefully it'll cut through this. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to slow it down to the single speed here. Put a little juice on the subject. Again, like I said, I've resharpened this and it's not the best. I just sharpen them by hand sometimes. Well, let's try a different battery. Nothing else could go wrong, right? I do have a mag drill, but I haven't had any luck with that thing. I really don't. I'm just not a big fan. On YouTube, I see people use those mag drills and they drill one hole after another, after another, after another. I see it all the time. Every time with my mag drill, I drill one hole and it drills perfect. The second hole will not drill. It wears the bit out on the first hole every single time I've done it, and I've done it a half dozen times. And those bits are expensive. So I don't know why I have that kind of luck, but I do. It's almost there. I'll resharpen it before I drill the other two. Oh! Yeah, when it goes all at once. Let me see if I can open that up without hurting myself. All right, I think we got it. Okay, those are the oversized holes. First, I'll deburr these holes, and then we're going to prop this up where I can see that line through here, and hopefully we'll see those two marks too. And anyway, we're going to center punch it so that we get it just right. So we'll just do one side at a time to get it right. All right, I'm just going to deburr that with this angle grinder. That's good enough. Pick up the rest of these shavings. Hopefully it'll pick them all up. And I dumped the others in there, so we'll pick them up out of there. And off the ground and everywhere. All right, I slid about a 6x6 block under there, and now I've got a 2x4 on that, and it looks like it's going to work out to be just about the right height. So we'll slide this up until we get hopefully our marks lined up in the hole. And the only problem is I'm so colorblind, I can't see the darn marks even when I see them. There, we're getting close. That's pretty centered. So what I'm going to do is get myself a punch that fits this hole here. I'll be right back. These little cheap center punch sets are invaluable. There's another name for it. I can't think of names. That's my problem. Sorry. It just is what it is. And hopefully we can go right down through this hole and mark that, and I don't think it's going through the hole, unfortunately. Oh, that was bigger than ½ inch. I just assumed the biggest one was ½ inch, and I was wrong. There you go, no wonder, you dummy. This one's ½ inch, this one goes through. There you go, perfect. Really good. And then you just try to get them as straight up and down as you can when you hit them. There you go. So that made our holes pretty well perfectly centered. So now I'm going to find the right drill bit for that. I'll find out whatever the threading hole is for the ½ inch. I'm going to use ½ inch grade 8 bolts to hold this up. 2 bolts ought to be plenty strong because a 1/2-inch bolt will hold a lot of weight. Off camera, I hit these center punch holes a little bit bigger with that extra good punch I had. And I've got this lined up pretty close, so we're going to give it a shot. Very good, it's drilling well so far. Well, I will say today is a perfect day to do a project like this because it's storming outside. I've got this set to my longest bolt. I could cut my bolts off, honestly. In fact, I think I will because it's just too long. This one here is a little shorter. I'm going to use it as my length. So let me set this to this length. And of course, I could even set it a little shallower because we're going through about a 5mm plate. So if we get it down to there, we should be good. I took a magnet and got rid of all the chips out of the hole. Okay, I think we're deep enough on that one. Yep, we're good. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm not going to film it because there's no point. In fact, I'm going to do that several more times. 3 more times in total. And I'll show you the next step. Well, the next thing to do is start the tap in these things. And I'm not good at doing this under power, I'll be honest. So I don't plan to really do that. I'm just going to get it started maybe under power and turn it right back off. I don't know if that'll work. I hope it does. At least it's standing in straight up and down. Now I'll just take the tap handle and work it the rest of the way. Okay, I got the tap handle on here and I'm just gonna start her in. I don't know if this is cast iron or cast steel. I don't know what this is. I think it might be cast iron, honestly. So it seems to be cutting without any lubricant, but I'm just gonna go ahead and lube it up. I don't see as it will hurt anything. This is actually going in way easier than I was expecting. I'm big on reversing the tool and cutting the threads off. I'm real big on doing that. I've never broke a tap in my life doing that. I know lots of people break taps all the time. Shouldn't say that on camera because now I'll probably break this one, but I always back them up and cut the threads off there, those little tails. Seems to be getting a little sticky now, so maybe I'll put a little more juice on it. These are cheap taps. These are a Chinese tap, and I'm not sure they're very good, but I've used them a number of times. They seem to work okay. I don't know if I've used this particular one. It seems to be getting awful sticky. It's not like it's cutting now, it seems to me like. Let's just take it out and look down in there. I'll be honest, the holes don't look very good. I mean, the threads don't look very deep. But they are fine threads. 1/2 inch. I think they'll be okay. At least I hope so. Got quite a ways to go. Can we get her lined back up? That's the question here. Boy, it just feels real gummy. It does not feel like it's cutting. That's not a good feeling. Feels more like it's pressing the threads in there instead of rolling or cutting them in there. I'm not real happy about this, the way this feels. I'm going to look and see if I happen to have a American-made tap. That would be much better. Well, I got lucky. I found a Greenfield tap. That's about as good as it gets in the U.S. as far as I'm concerned. Greenfield taps are very good. This is probably a very, very old tap, so I don't know how good it is because I don't know where I got it even. It came to me in some stuff, is all I can say. I think I bought it at an auction. It was in some of the auction stuff. I can feel this. It sounds like it's cutting. I feel much better about it, I can tell you that. Yeah, it feels like it's cutting now. And I think we might be down to the bottom where we were. It feels like it's cutting for sure compared to the other one. So much different feel. If you ever see Greenfield taps at an auction, buy them. They're great taps. Oh, it's cutting like butter now compared to the way it was. Yeah, those Chinese taps, they're better than having nothing, but that's about it. You can just, I think I just hit bottom. I didn't hardly even know I was going through the rest of that. It just cut so easy. You could hear it cutting, and you know, you can just tell it's cutting. I'm gonna take that off and back this tap out. Go back in there with this little magnet, clean anything else out that might be in there. Hopefully this will go right in. Looks like it's going to go right in, no problem at all. Yeah, feels real good. Going to go all the way in, I think. So I think we're good. Okay, I've got both holes tapped on this side here. I haven't done the other side yet. I'll do that off camera later, but let's just show you how this fits. Well, and I would show you, except that it's not cooperating. This board keeps sliding, so I'll just lay it up there and then figure it out. There it is. There they are. The holes are lined up pretty close anyway. That looks pretty good. So let me get a wrench to tighten those up faster. If I remember right, this takes a 3/4. Hopefully that's right. Uh-oh, that one didn't go all the way in. Now that doesn't make sense. Seems to be in there good and tight. Yeah, it's tight. I thought it wasn't going in, but it's being held up by one of these little checkers. The only thing I was concerned about was this sticking up under your feet, but you know what? In a way, that's probably good. It gives you grip. Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, and besides, it's a little bit off to the side anyway, and I honestly think that could keep you from slipping. So that's not too bad. In hindsight, I wished I'd have put them over that way another 1/2 inch because it'd just give you plenty of room for your foot. But, you know, it is what it is. I'll make this other side symmetrical and then I'll show you the final result. Well, my friends, I've got the other holes drilled and tapped and I'm ready to put them in here. Can I get it in there? I don't know. Yeah, it's going. I think we're there. So now can I lift it up and get the boards out? Wow. Well, that's heavy. That's heavy. And that's going to be really good for you know, the tip factor. That's going to help a lot. Having an extra 80 pounds down low like that and far back really does amplify how much you can pick up on the front. And like I said, I've got 2 more of these weights. I'm probably going to lay them in there and maybe fasten them down somehow, and that'll even help that much more. But right now those weights are in use on another purpose. And whenever I find a replacement for that, well, then I'll put them in here too. Well, my friends, you never know what you're going to see on this channel, and I hope this will help somebody out, especially the tips about keeping the weight very low and keeping it as far back as possible. All of that matters when it comes to how much you can lift out on the front end. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not yet subscribed, please click that subscribe button, and I would really appreciate a thumbs up as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next video.